And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. Give a special shout out to ESPN New Hampshire. Glad you guys could be with us today. We're glad we're with you today. Yeah, don't forget, December 19th. Great card up at the beautiful Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York. HBO card featuring some good fighters, man. I can't wait to see Brian Jennings in his fight going up against Luis Ortiz. You got Yunieska Gonzalez on that card. You got the Axeman, Nicholas Walters. A great card. Get yourself some tickets right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the fight poster, which is right there on the left-hand side. It says HBO Boxing. It says Ortiz. It says Brian Jennings. It says you should get tickets and see me because I'm going to be ringside there. Anyway, joining us right now, Boxing Hall of Famer. He's been away for a little while, and we missed him. My man, Larry Hazzard. What's up, brother?
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
Not too bad, my man, not too bad. Listen, a lot of stuff to talk to you about. But first, I wanted to get you with some stuff that's happening today. The IBF stripped Tyson Fury, and they're ordering Glasgow against Charles Martin. And, they're trying to justify it with, they have this rotation with sanctioning bodies and all of this stuff. Larry, I've said a long time ago that one of the things that hurts the sport of boxing is that we have a lack of unity. We have more division than anything else. And I think that although we kind of have lived with all these sanctioning bodies, with all the weight classes, I think, if the heavyweight division, at least if we had one guy that was the heavyweight champ, it would make matters a lot easier. It would help fans be able to follow it. What's your thoughts on them kind of, and I'm saying them meaning the IBF, on, trying to basically get away from having all those belts? I thought Klitschko kind of deserved the shot at Tyson Fury. I mean, what's your thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, it would seem to me that, we're getting too far away from, the traditional way in which boxing has always, conducted itself in terms of these championships. I mean, for a group to come in and take the title away from the man, and he honestly earned it in the ring, it seems like there should be at least an attempt towards fostering greater sense of cooperation, among the sanctioning organizations and the fighters. I don't know. I mean, couldn't they have worked that out? Klitschko, all of these years that he's been dedicated to the IBF and the other sanctioning organization, paying, I'm sure, thousands and thousands of dollars in sanctioning fees and fighting for their belts and, all of the other things that he's done to honor that championship. I think that he's very deserving, or should have been given at least some extra consideration in having the opportunity to win his title back. There was a clause in the contract, a rematch clause in the contract, which Tyson Fury wanted to honor, and I think that Klitschko is very deserving of that opportunity, without some group coming along and saying no, you can't have that opportunity. He has to fight this fighter or that fighter. Let him fight. Let him fight to have an opportunity to win back his title, and then if he doesn't, then move on to the next guy. I mean, they're going to get paid the sanctioning fee anyway. So I don't know. Maybe there's some details that I don't know about, but that's the way I see this thing. And I think that it would be an honorable way of doing this, and the sport wouldn't come under as much criticism as it does when the sanctioning organization just comes in and strips a guy of a title. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, and nothing for nothing, but the guys that are fighting for that so-called vacated title, you can make the argument that, they don't deserve it. I mean, it bothers me that these fighters don't climb the ladder anymore, Larry. You know, I mean, there used to be a progression. You know, you go from, amateurs, you become a prospect, and you become a contender, and I'm talking top 20 contender, and you work your way up. You fight guys ahead of you, and you climb the rungs of those ladder, and you finally get your shot. Now they come in from out of left field, and next thing you know, they got a title, and they're pounding on their chest saying they're the best. You're right. You bring up a great point. The amount of dollars that Vladimir Klitschko must have brought into forget just the IBF, all the sanctioning bodies, the amount of dollars in sanctioning fees are probably way more than thousands. It's got to be in the hundreds of thousands, and then
they turn around and they shit in the guy's face like that. This guy has held the title for what, 10 years?
Here's the other thing that I was just going to throw in. Arguably, before the Bryant Jennings fight, you could make the case and win a battle if somebody disagreed with you that he hadn't lost a round in almost a decade. So here's a guy that has dominated. And he fought everybody. Listen, I was never a big fan of Klitschko. Still am not. He's not an exciting fighter to watch, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Nobody has come close. Here he loses a fight. And next thing you know, they're stripping him. And let me throw one other thing at you, Larry. The word interim belt, right? I can't stand when somebody wins an interim belt, then they make defenses of it and everything. Here's a case, and I was just saying it before we got you on. Here's a case where the interim belt is justified. The IBF could have said, okay, the mandatory was supposed to fight. We honor champions like Klitschko. Tyson Fury is honoring his contract, and the IBF knew what the contract was. They had copies of the contract, and they could say, okay, listen, we don't want to screw Glasgow anymore, so here's what we'll do. We'll let him fight for the interim title against Charles Martin. We'll let Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko fight each other. Then the winner of the Charles Martin Glasgow fight is the first guy in line. He wins an interim title. That doesn't mean he makes defenses of it. That means he's the next guy that has to fight the winner of Fury Klitschko. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, that makes all the sense in the world. And another thing, this whole thing about being honorable and dedicated and all of this other stuff that these other terms that we use when we want it our way. It seems like it's a one-way street. This guy has honored that belt. He's honored his mandatories. He's done all of that for all of these years. And now you're going to tell him, okay, you're going to tell Tyson Fury, you're going to tell them both, that they now can't honor, okay, a contract that calls for a rematch. Okay? What kind of sense does that make? Honor only goes one way? It's just, you talk about, well, you have to honor you have to honor this us. And, well, honor only goes one way. They have a contract that calls for a rematch. Can it wait? You still get your sanctioning fees. They're still fighting for the IBF title. Okay? And this man, for what, 10, 11 years, has honored everybody. And he comes in, maybe, some call it a bad night. Me, frankly speaking, I think that if he fights a rematch with Fury, he beats Fury in a rematch. Okay? But it's all about honor. It's all about what's fair. It's all about doing what's right. And the honorable thing and the right thing to do, because Klitschko has been honorable in holding the championship and defending the championship, and honorable in paying thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to the various sanctioning organizations. I think that he's very deserving of being able to honor his rematch clause, after he lost his title. That's the way I feel about it, and nothing's going to change that.
No, you're right, and that's a great point. This wasn't out of left field. Listen, in the sport of boxing, generally, unless in the case of a draw, there's a winner and a loser. So everybody that's involved with a fight, from the person buying a ticket to the promoter, they know that there's a chance that side A is going to beat side B or side B is going to beat side A. I mean, unless it's a fixed illegal fight, then we don't know who the winner is until the final bell rings, So, I mean, for them to act like this is pretty ridiculous. Let me jump to the fight this past weekend. Shocking to me. I was wrong. I thought Peter Quillin was going to really take care of Daniel Jacobs. But unfortunately for him, Daniel Jacobs looked pretty phenomenal in a sense. He rocked Kid Chocolate early and then just jumped on him relentlessly until the fight was stopped. And I want to fast forward to that real quick. I'm looking for two thoughts from you. Number one, the performance of Jacobs. And number two, there's been a lot of discussion over Harvey Dock's stoppage of that fight. Now, my thoughts real quick, Larry, before you give me your thoughts on Jacobs' performance, short-lived or whatever, and then the Harvey Dock situation. I thought Harvey Dock did the right thing. And the reason why I say that is because, if Kid Chocolate had the wherewithal to fall down or take a knee and give Harvey Dock the opportunity to count to 8, since there's no standing 8 count. I hear people saying, "Oh, he should have given him a standing 8 count." Don't they know that there was no standing 8 count? And when you looked at him doing the Billy C shuffle after 20 scotches, I can't criticize Harvey Dock for stopping that fight. He saved the fighter. What's your thoughts on both?
Well, your points are very good points. Okay. Number one, Harvey Dock, in my opinion, did the exact right thing. Okay? I mean, what was he to do? There is no standing 8 count. If the fighter did not have the wherewithal to take the knee, okay, go down, get himself together, okay, and give himself a chance, then he left the referee with no choice.
Yep.
And I think that he did the right thing. You see this guy's eyes? He's looking right in his face. And that, the judgment of a referee in a situation like that, okay, is something that you have to at least respect. You have to respect that. Especially when the fighter was clearly helpless. And here's the other thing. You didn't get one complaint from Quillin. Not one complaint. So that kind of closes the door on whether, the stoppage was correct or it wasn't correct. Quillin, as a matter of fact, he even said that the referee did his job. So the fighter himself is saying it. So I think that, that doesn't leave it open for any more debate. As far as the performance, I thought that Daniel Jacobs came out there to take care of business, man. And he did that. So he's the king of Brooklyn now, and well-deserved.
It's I couldn't help but listening to Peter Quillin talk after that fight, and I say it to this day. I mean, the words that come to mind is class act. I mean, when was the last time you heard a guy that in defeat was as classy as Peter Quillin was, and I mean, it used to be the norm. Now it's an exception, and I thought that, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of his, but I tell you, it's hard not to be after the guy gives the accolades that he did for to Danny Jacobs after that fight.
Well, I think that he demonstrated what we talk about when we talk about good sportsmanship. That's what it was. And he didn't look for any excuses because he knew. A lot of times that's what fighters do. And, I don't know if it's that gladiatorial syndrome that they're so embarrassed that, the fight had to be stopped. And, I can go on. You shouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? When they know deep down within their heart that they couldn't have gone on. So he was just honest about it. And it was a class. He showed class throughout the whole situation. So I don't think the stoppage. There should be no debate. People. A lot of the fans, when they don't know the rules, I think that was the sticking point. He didn't go down and the referee stopped the fight, and a lot of fans still don't know that there's no such thing as a standing 8 count anymore. And the reason they don't know is because some of these commentators using the wrong nomenclature when they speak, okay, to the fans, when they talk about a knockdown. That's a mandatory 8 count when a fighter goes down and the referee counts. But yet, you hear a lot of these commentators still refer to that process as he's giving him a standing 8 count. No. There's no such thing as a standing 8 count. That's a mandatory 8 count that has to take place anytime a knockdown happens. And so fans get confused when they hear this term standing 8 count. So that's where a lot of the controversy comes. These commentators oftentimes create controversy through their commentating, and that's probably, where this confusion is. Now, if the fighter has the wherewithal, and that's another sign that he is okay. If he has the wherewithal, you understand, to go down on his own, take the knee, that means that his thinking faculties are in place. So that's an indication to the referee also. Hey, I can let this continue because he didn't actually go down. He went down on his own so that he can get himself together. So that shows that his mental faculties are functioning properly. See? So that's what happened. And he didn't do that. So Harvey Dock saved him, from any further injury or some serious injury because, situations like that, Billy, sometimes all it takes is one more shot, and the kid could really be in some serious trouble. So I applaud what Harvey did in that fight.
Yeah, I think Harvey Dock should get credit, not criticism. And I think it's an indication, and I hate to say it, but I think it's an indication of the ignorance that a lot of the younger fans have towards the sport. The same kinds of fans that are pounding their chest too when a fighter beats a guy that shouldn't even be in the same ring, with them.
Yeah.
Which brings me, to this. Peter Quillin looked like he didn't know what to do. And I'm not. Listen, I'm like you. I give Daniel Jacobs all the credit in the world. He did what he had to do. He came there. He saw that he got his opponent hurt. He jumped all over him, wanted that referee to, stop the fight or wanted to stop the fighter himself. Whatever the case was, he knew what he had to do, and he knew that he wasn't going to get out of that first round. He tried his hardest. I give him credit for that. However, both of these fighters really, and I think that Peter Quillin was an indication of it. He didn't know what to do when he got hurt. He didn't even try to hold on. He didn't even try to move out of the way. I mean, turn around and run to the other corner or something. I mean, do something. He didn't even cover up. I mean, here's a guy that had 30-something fights. He was a former world champion, and he doesn't know how to cover up when he's in trouble. It scares me, Larry, because it's not like, Peter Quillin's the only one. Daniel Jacobs could be the same guy. The tables could have been turned. These are guys that aren't given the opportunity to improve their skills and wherewithal inside the ring because they're being so overprotected because of the dollars, because of the television networks, because of the sanctioning bodies, that they're really not experienced enough to be in those situations.
And also the teaching, the training. Okay, we can't ever get away from that. The teachers are not there like they once were there, Billy.
No, we got the yes man.
Everything you're saying, plus the teachers.
Yeah, you got
teachers are just not there anymore.
Like we said so many times in the past, Larry, we got rah-rah men. And like I said, listen, the commissions. And it's you can't blame the commissions because there's no rule in place, but it doesn't take anything. I'm not a trainer. I never said I could be. But if I paid the $25 or the $50, whatever the fee is, guess what? I'm the lead trainer for that night. Poof, I'm a trainer. I'm the chief second. And to me, that's BS. We talked about that on this show. That guy. That chief second, a guy that's labeled as a chief second, should have some kind of training that they have to go through, whether it's a course, whether it's a long course, a short course, something. And they should be taught the safeties of training, a whole dehydration system, and all that stuff. What was it? Goodman came out with that book several years back, Ringside Training Principles or something, just something as simple as that.
Yeah, Margaret Goodman.
Yeah, Margaret Goodman, yeah. Came out with that book, but anyway, I got one last question for you, and this is right up your alley because you were there, I think, yesterday. Chad Dawson made his return to the ring on a Jersey card, I believe. That fight took place in Jersey. And
it was in Jersey. It was on Fox 1. Did you see it?
I did, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Chad Dawson, we used to refer to him as Bad Chad Dawson because we used to think of bad meaning like a badass. Now, if somebody told me Bad Chad Dawson, I'm just thinking, well, he's bad. Like he's not bad meaning good. He's just terrible. What happened to this guy? I mean, did his skills erode that much? Yes, he got the win, but that fight was supposed to be a Daniel Jacobs versus Peter Quillin type performance. Show us that this guy doesn't belong in the ring with you. Instead, he hangs around for 10 rounds.
You know what happened in that fight also, Billy? I don't know if you watched it on TV. The guy that he was fighting, I forgot, the guy has a strange name. Al-Amin or something. Anyway, the guy was actually talking to him throughout the fight. And the guy was actually talking to fans out. We were sitting there like laughing. The guy was putting on a comedy show while he was fighting Chad Dawson. He'd back up in the corner, and a couple of the fans was shouting things at him, and he's talking back to the fans while he's fighting. And I'm saying, boy, oh boy, here's a guy who actually defeated Bernard Hopkins, and this guy is in here talking to the fans, okay, and he can't nail this guy, can't take him out. His skills have, in my opinion, have eroded to that point. This guy took him all the way, and the guy thought that he won the fight. He didn't want to leave the ring because he thought he had got robbed, which Chad won the fight. But I mean, it was, it was not the Chad Dawson that we were used to seeing some years ago. And unless he makes a drastic improvement, he's just reduced now to, another club fighter. That's about it for him now.
Like does he, is he looking for a payday? I mean, here's where I look at it. And obviously, I don't know what his situation is, if he needs money, if he's in desperate mode or whatever. But me looking from the outside, I say to myself, okay, this is a prime example. And where the powers to be have to stand up and say, okay, this is a guy that after that win, when you know how the business goes better than anybody, Larry, that all of a sudden Chad Dawson's back in the mix, and next thing you know, he's going to be mentioned for a shot at a world title. And then by putting him in that shot against some of the guys, I mean, could you imagine if he had if he drew the unlucky straw to step in there with Sergey Kovalev or somebody like that? I mean, here's where a guy like Chad Dawson could get seriously hurt. We were just talking about how the burden of saving a fighter is on the referee. But what about management and matchmakers and promoters who okay a fight, and we all can see that his skills have eroded? Now all of a sudden you're going to throw him in because he's got a name. Now he's at risk. That's the kind of things that I think people need to look at, long term down the road. If a fighter's not going to look out for himself and his team isn't going to look out for him, somebody has to, Larry.
And here, once again, here is a great opportunity for who? The sanctioning organizations, you understand, to step up and say, no, we can't rank this guy. Because in order for him to get to that title, okay, there has to be some type of cooperation, okay, or for lack of a better term, collusion, or however you want to put it, between the management, the promoter, and the sanctioning organization of someone in order for him to reach that point, to fight for a title. Under that premise, under that roadmap that you just described, so accurately described. See? So here's an opportunity for the sanctioning organization to step up and really earn some credibility in that respect and say, no, we're not going to even rank this guy.
Roy Jones Jr. is fighting this weekend. He said that, remember, he said, I'm not going to fight unless there's a world title. As far as I know, there's no world title on the line, and he's fighting Enzio Macronelli. Do you think he's got a chance, even though Macronelli has his skills have eroded a lot too? Do you think Roy Jones has a chance?
Yeah, Roy's got a chance. Roy, anybody you see Roy fighting, you can bet he's got a chance, because Roy's no dummy, right. And Roy's not going to fight nobody that he ain't got a chance against.
So if you and I know that, and a lot of other other fans, how could Roy? I mean, who could give him, like, let's say he gets by Enzio Macronelli. Does that give him a fast track to a world title? I mean, again, Roy seems to be doing okay financially. I mean, why would he risk himself? I mean, here's a guy that's, basically using his mind and his vocabulary, speech, and everything on TV, and those are the things that he's risking for what? I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. What does he got to prove?
Well, Billy, isn't that the question that we always, haven't we been asking that question for how long now? Why does this guy still want to do it? Why did Muhammad Ali want to go in there and fight Larry Holmes? That question seems like it just goes on and on and on for generations.
No, you're
right.
Why? Well, you know how those Russians are. You never know what they're thinking, Roy Jones, now that he's a Russian and stuff, I don't know. But no disrespect to the Russians. I'm just kidding. But anyway, Larry, I appreciate your insight, my man, and I look forward to you next time. I'll drop you an email with the schedule. But how do you feel? You like this new slot? You like this day or what?
Yeah, man.
It's good, man, because usually, if we were a day off, I would have caught you at a weigh-in anyway, right?
Okay, it's okay.
But anyway.
It's middle of the week. This is cool.
All right.
Because, this is cool. It doesn't matter. The time is good. The timing, 5:30 seems to be a good time,
Well,
it'll probably, this time, as long as it's like 5:30, it'll probably work for any day of the week.
Well, it sounds good.
This is good.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me, my man, and we'll look forward to you next time, all right?
Okay, Billy.
All right, Larry. Take care. That's my man, Larry Hazzard, commissioner of New Jersey boxing, and he's also a Hall of Famer. You know who he is. Anyway, giving his thoughts, it's always right on, my man Larry. I'll be back in 2.